Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this morning's service. As you can tell, we are recording these services from home, as most of California has moved into the purple tier. We hope that everyone is staying safe and following social distancing guidelines. Today's service will begin with the ringing of the concho, followed by sutra chanting. We will then have the reading of the Golden Chain by the Dharma School 7th and 8th grade class, followed by a Dharma Message by Mr. Arima. Please enjoy the service.
I am a link in Buddha's golden chain of love that stretches around the world.
I must keep my link bright and strong.
I will try to be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself.
I will try to think pure and beautiful thoughts,
say pure and beautiful words, and do pure and beautiful deeds.
Knowing that my actions will result in not only my happiness or unhappiness,
but also the happiness or unhappiness of others as well.
May every link in the Buddha's golden chain of love be bright and strong.
May we all attain perfect peace.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namaste.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namandavs, 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 namandavs. Let us cease from wrath and refrain from angry looks, nor let us be resentful when others differ from us. For all men have hearts, and each heart has its own leanings. Their right is our wrong, and our right is their wrong. We are not unquestionably sages, nor are they unquestionably fools. Both of us are simply ordinary men. For all we are, one with another, wise and foolish, like a ring which has no end. Namandavs, 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 namandavs. I was reminded of this Buddhist reading written by Prince Shotoku Taishi. The person who reminded me was a great Dharma friend and teacher within our own Mountain View Sangha, Mrs. Eileen Fujikawa. She reminded us of this during one of our Buddhist discussion sessions, and we were prompted by discussion of how recently the divisions in our country due to racial discrimination and political differences have become more evident and are driving activism and discourse. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for viewing our online service for November 22nd. I'm recording this Dharma message at my home in the San Francisco Bay Area. We've moved back into the highest risk level of purple, meaning widespread infection risk. So all non-essential indoor businesses operations are closed, and in alignment, we're trying to help control the spread of COVID-19, and everyone for today's service is recording remotely from their homes. We want everyone to remain safe and healthy and do all you can to help others remain safe and healthy. Today, I'd like to talk about reconnection of things that have been separated. As we heard in the opening reflection, something that causes people to separate is our feelings of right and wrong, and how they lead to discrimination based on our own perceptions of right and wrong. To give an example, today I'd like to refer to the story, The Sneetches by Dr. Seuss. It goes like this. Now the star-belly Sneetches had bellies with stars. The plain-belly Sneetches had none upon stars. Those stars weren't so big, they were really so small. You might think that a thing wouldn't matter at all. Because they had stars, all the star-belly Sneetches would brag, "We are the best kind of Sneetches on beaches." With snoots in the air, they would sniff and they'd snort. "We'll have nothing to do with that plain belly sort." And whenever they met some, when they were out walking, they'd hike right on past them without even talking. They kept them away, never let them come near. And that's how they treated them year after year. What a strange thing to value these bellies with stars. Well, then one day someone zipped up in the strangest of cars. "My friends," he announced with a voice clear and keen, "my name is Sylvester McMonkey McBean. I've heard of your troubles. I heard you're unhappy. But I can fix that. I'm the fix-it-up chappie. I've come here to help you. I have what you need. My prices are low, and I work at great speed." Then quickly Sylvester McMonkey McBean put together a very peculiar machine. And he said, "You want stars like the Starbelly Sneetch? My friends, you can have them for $3 each. Just pay me your money and hop right aboard." So they clambered inside. Then the big machine roared. It clonked and it bonked and it jerked and it burked. It bopped them around, but the thing really worked. When the Plainbelly Sneetches popped out, they had stars. They actually did. They had stars upon stars. Then they yelled at the ones who had stars at the start. "We're exactly like you. You can't tell us apart." "Good grief," groaned the ones who had stars at the first. "We're still the best Sneetches, and they are the worst." "But how in the world will we know?" they all frowned. "If which kind is what, or the other way round?" Well, then up came McBean with a very sly wink. And he said, "Things are not as bad as you think. So you don't know who's who. That is perfectly true. But come with me, friends. Do you know what I'll do? I'll make you again the best Sneetches on beaches. And all it will cost you is $10 eaches." "Belly stars are no longer in style," said McBean. "What you need is a trip through my star-off machine. This wondrous contraption will take off your stars. You won't look like Sneetches who have them on theirs. And that handy machine worked very precisely, removed all the stars from their tummies quite nicely. Then with snoots in the air, they paraded about, and they opened their beaks and they let out a shout. We know who is who, now there isn't a doubt. The best kind of Sneetches are Sneetches without. Then of course those with stars all got frightfully mad. To be wearing a star now was frightfully bad. Then of course old Sylvester McMonkey McBean invited them into his star-off machine. Then of course from then on, as you probably guessed, things really got into a terrible mess. All the rest of the day on those wild screaming beaches, that fix-it-up chappie kept fixing up Sneetches. Off again, on again, in again, out again, through the machine they raced round and around again, changing their stars every minute or two. They kept paying their money, they kept running through, until neither the plane nor the Starbelly knew whether this one was that one, or that one was this one, or which one was what one, or what one was who. Then when the last cent of their money was spent, the fix-it-up chappie, he packed up and went. And he laughed as he drove in his car up the beach. They never will learn. No, you can't teach a Sneetch. But McBean was quite wrong, I'm quite happy to say. The Sneetches got really quite smart on that day. That day they decided that Sneetches are Sneetches, and no kind of Sneetch is the best on the beaches. That day all the Sneetches forgot about stars, and whether they had one or not upon theirs. The story of the Sneetches is often used to teach about discrimination by showing the actions of the Sneetches that displayed the discrimination. From a Buddhist viewpoint, the story describes how the Sneeches are not practicing right speech or right conduct. That's from our Eightfold Path. What the story does not try to explain is why the Sneeches were not guided by right view or right thought. It is only the plain belly Sneeches' physical appearance that causes the star belly Sneeches to believe that they're better than them. The irrational thoughts of the star belly Sneeches caused them to act without right speech or right conduct and put down those plain belly Sneeches. We see in the story that both star belly and plain belly Sneeches, driven by their deluded views, end up going in again, out again through McBean's machines. Through the process of changing their outside appearances so many times, they all lost track of who were star bellies and who were plain bellies, and finally came to the right view and right thought that all Sneeches are Sneeches, regardless of appearance. When we reflect on the star belly Sneeches' prejudice, we can see links to the three poisons of greed, anger, and ignorance. The greed to have higher status in society, in their society, combined with the ignorance that outside appearances are how you judge people and the other people's values. That led to a subtle kind of anger, expression of anger, of keeping the plain belly Sneeches away and putting them down. The three poisons blinded the star belly Sneeches from seeing the true reality that Sneeches are Sneeches. And until McBean caused this huge dramatic effect that forced them to see the reality that outward appearances, having a star or not a star, didn't matter. All the Sneeches lived in a world of delusion that the star made a difference in their value. Unfortunately, it often takes a tragic event for someone to see the reality of the world around us and to make a compassionate response. The recent tragic events that remind us of the prejudice in our country are making us see the reality of the world around us. Often it's asked, how should a Buddhist respond to these kinds of situations? I think that we need to recognize the poisons within our minds to help us clearly see the reality of the world around us. After we truthfully accept how our own greed, anger, and ignorance affect our thoughts and actions, then we can begin to feel and express true compassion towards others. We must accept the reality that we are not always right and that others are not always wrong, and find compassionate ways to live together. As Prince Shotoku said, we are all one with another, wise and foolish like a ring that has no end. And I like to think about this ring like the golden chain. And we make our link bright and strong by accepting our imperfect selves that have minds clouded by the delusions of the three poisons. Then we can follow the next teaching in the golden chain, which is to take the actions of being kind and gentle and protecting others. This is the practice of our Jodo Shinshu teachings, to recognize our own evil nature so we can see the reality of the world around us. Then to go out into that world, being kind and gentle and protecting others. When we realize that living our lives, following the teachings, has led us to the happiness and unhappiness of ourselves and others, then we can appreciate the right path that we are striving to travel. Upon that realization is when we will truly express sincere gratitude by earnestly reciting Nembutsu. Please join me in Gasho. Let us cease from wrath and refrain from angry looks, nor let us be resentful when others differ from us. For all men have hearts, and each heart has its own leanings. Their right is our wrong, and our right is their wrong. We are not unquestionably sages, nor are they unquestionably fools. Both of us are simply ordinary men. For we are all, one with another, wise and foolish, like a ring that has no end. Namanda, 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 Namanda. Thank you everyone for joining us today. And as always, stay healthy and stay safe.
Thank you to the Dharma School 7th and 8th grade class for reading the Golden Chain. And thank you, Mr. Arima, for your Dharma talk about the speeches and discrimination and how it takes place in our lives and how we as individuals and as Buddhists should respond to discrimination as well. Following this service, we will have a watch party with our Intro to Buddhism seminar part 2 called Buddhist Concepts. This will be led by Mr. Arima, so please stay tuned and join us for this seminar.